Good evening and welcome back to my channel. I am the Loyal Hufflepuff, and today we will finish our reading in Flora and Ulysses. This is written by Kate DiCamillo, and this will be our last part for this series. I hope you all have been enjoying this series. This is my second time reading through it with you guys. This is not with you guys, but this is my second time reading the book, and I look back at it and I realize how much of a comic book it is and how much they use the comic book, idea from her perspective. So I hope you all have been enjoying this book. I have been enjoying reading it to you guys. For those of you that have been listening to this book series, excuse me, I want to say thank you, and I do appreciate you guys have that have stuck by with reading this book and listening to it. I hope you all continue to enjoy my books as I read numerous books. I know that there's been some delays here and there, and it's been either health or it's been financial or it's been just busy at work, which I hope you all understand. So tonight is going to be our last night for Flora and Ulysses. I'm gonna finish this book, but I will continue the Shadow and Bone trilogy. We are currently on that second book, and we'll get back to that book after tonight. We will be doing it every Saturday and Sunday instead of the every day that I was planning on originally, only because sometimes it does get exhausting. So I'm gonna slow it down and just do it on Saturdays and Sundays mainly. But if there are gonna be such special days like today where I'm not working and I'm off, I will be more than happy to read this book to books like this to you guys whenever time's available. So thank you guys for understanding. Hope you all enjoy this last part as I finish this book. Tutti was driving. Oh yeah, this is chapter 59. Tutti was driving. If that's what you wanted to call it, she didn't have her hands at 10 o'clock and 2. She didn't have a hand at any o'clock. Basically, Tutti drove with one finger on the wheel. Flora's father would have been appalled. They were in the front seat. All four of them. Tutti, Marianne, Flora, and William Spiver. They were speeding down the road. It was alarming and exhilarating to be going so fast. So your plan is to effect an exchange? Said William Spiver. The lamp for the squirrel? Yes, said Flora. But, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we have no idea where the squirrel and your mother are. Flora hated the phrase, correct me if I'm wrong. In her experience, people only said it when they knew they were right. Ulysses! Tutti shouted on her open window. Ulysses! Flora could see the squirrel's name. Ulysses! Flying out of the garden into the night. A single beautiful word that was immediately swallowed up by the wind and the darkness. Her heart clenched. Why? Why hadn't she told the squirrel she loved him? There's a picture of them right here. All in the car. And there's William Spiver right there, if you can see him. I hate to be the voice of reason, said William Spiver. Don't be then, said Flora. But here we are, speeding down the road. And we are speeding, aren't we, Great Aunt Tutti? Surely we are exceeding the posted speed limit. I don't see a posted speed limit, said Tutti. She hollered Ulysses' name again. In any case, said William Spiver, it seems that we are going extremely fast. And we are speeding where, exactly? We don't know. We are en route to an unknown destination, calling out the name of a missing squirrel all the while. It doesn't seem one bit rational. Well, what's your idea, said Flora. What's your plan? We should try to think where your mother would have taken him. We would be logical, methodical, scientific. Ulysses! Shouted Tootie. Ulysses! Screamed Flora. Saying his name won't make him appear, said William Spiver. But saying William Spiver's name over and over had made him appear. This, Flora knew from Terrible Things Can Happen to You, was magical thinking or mental causation. According to Terrible Things, it was a dangerous way to think. It was dangerous to allow yourself to believe that what you said directly influenced the universe. But sometimes it did, didn't it? Do not hope, Flora thought. But she couldn't help it. She did hope. She was hoping. She had been hoping all along. Ulysses, she shouted. The car slowed down. What now? Said William Spiver. Have we spotted something squirrel-related? Judy used a single finger to steer the car to the side of the road. Let me guess, said William Spiver as they coasted to a stop. We've run out of gas. We've run out of gas, said Tootie. Oh, the symbolism, said William Spiver. Why, Flora wondered. Had she ever thought that William Spiver would be able to help her? Why had she thought of him as her safe port in a storm? Was it because he held her stupid hand in a stupid dream? Or was it because he never shut up? And she couldn't give up on the idea that he might actually say something at some point that was meaningful, helpful. Sorry. Talk about magical thinking. Where are we? Where are we? Said Flora to Tootie. Flora said to Tootie. I'm not entirely certain, said Tootie. Great, said William Spiver. We're lost. Not that we know where we were going to begin with. We'll have to walk, said Tootie. Obviously, said William Spiver. But walk where? They were in the woods. He could tell by the smell of pine resin in the trees, and the sound of pine needles crunching underfoot. Also, there was the powerful, extremely pervasive scent of raccoon. Raccoons owned the night, and raccoons were truly terrifying creatures, more brutal even than cats. This will do, said Flora's mother. She stopped. She put the sack down on the ground, and then she opened it and shone a bright light on Ulysses. He clutched his poem to his chest. He stared into the light as bravely as he could. Give me that, said Flora's mother. She pulled the paper out of his paws. She threw it to the ground. Would she never tire of flinging his words away? This is the end of the road, Mr. Squirrel, she said. She put the flashlight on the ground. She picked up a shovel. The shovel. He heard Flora's voice saying, Remember who you are. The squirrel turned and sniffed his tail. He thought about when Flora had shown him the picture of Alfred T. Slipper in his janitor uniform, and now Alfred had been transformed into the bright light that was incandesto. The words from the poem that Tootie had recited rose up inside of him. I'm just going to read until I show you the pictures. Flare up like flame and make big shadows. He wasn't a stone squirrel. Ah! He was Ulysses. Eek! You see him taking the shovel away and flying with the shovel, dropping the shovel, flying into the air, flying. Flora's mother sees him flying in the air, flashlights on the ground, all in shock, and then just disappears into the night. I think that, yeah. So here's it all right here. Give you a few minutes to look at that. Alrighty. Oh, that was chapter 60. Sorry about that. Chapter 61. You can navigate by the North Star, supposedly. Moss grows on the north side of trees, or so they say. If you're lost in the woods, you should stay where you are, and someone will find you. Maybe. These were the things that Flora had learned about being lost from reading. Terrible things can happen to you. Not that any of it was particularly relevant here. They weren't lost in the woods. They were lost in the universe, which, according to William Spiver, was expanding. How comforting, Ulysses shouted Tootie. Ulysses, shouted Tootie. Ulysses, shouted Flora. It's pointless, said William Spiver. Flora was carrying Marianne, and William Spiver was holding onto Tootie's shoulder. Flora hated to agree with William Spiver, but pointless seemed like an increasingly appropriate word. Her arms ached from carrying the little shepherdess. Her feet hurt. Her heart hurt. Let's see, said Tootie, peering into the darkness. That's Bricknell Road up there, so we're not truly lost. I wish I could see, said William Spiver in a sad voice. You can see, said Tootie. Great Aunt Tootie, said William Spiver. I am loath, as always, to point out the obvious, but I will do it here and now for the sake of clarity. You are not me. You do not exist behind my traumatized eyeballs. I am telling you telling the truth. My truth. I cannot see. There's nothing wrong with you, William, said Tootie. How many times do I have to tell you that? Why did she send me away then, said William Spiver. His voice shook. You know why she sent you away. I do? You can't just push somebody's truck into a lake, said Tootie. It was a pond, said William Spiver. A very small pond, more of a sinkhole, actually. You cannot totally submerge somebody's vehicle in a body of water, said Tootie in a very loud voice, and expect that there aren't going to be severe consequences. I did it in a bit of anger, said William Spiver. I admitted almost immediately that it was a very unfortunate decision. Tootie shook her head. You pushed a truck into a lake? Said Flora. How did you do that? I released the parking brake, and I put the truck in drive, and That's enough, said Tootie. We don't need a how-to push a truck into a lake lecture. Sinkhole, said William Spiver. It was really a sinkhole. Wow, said Flora. Why did you do it? I was exacting my revenge upon Tyrone, said William Spiver. My name is William. William Spiver. Not Billy. I was Billy one time too many. I pushed Tyrone's truck into the sinkhole, and when my mother found out, she was incandescent with rage. I looked upon her on her rage, and you know what happened then? I was blinded by disbelief and sorrow. He shook his head. I'm her son, but she made me leave. She sent me away. Even in the darkness, Flora could see the tears crawling out from underneath William Spiver's dark glasses. I want to be called William Spiver, he said. I want to go home. Flora felt her heart lurch inside of her. I want to go home. It was another one of William Spiver's sad, beautiful sentences. But will you return? I keep looking for you. I want to go home. Flora realized that she wanted to go home too. She wanted things to be the way they were before she was banished. She put Marianne down on the ground. Give me your hand, she said. What? Said William Spiver. Give me your hand, said Flora again. My hand? Why? Flora reached out and grabbed hold of William Spiver's hand, and he held onto her. It was as if he were drowning and she were standing on solid ground. According to terrible things, drowning people were desperate, out of their minds with fear. In their panic, they could pull you, the rescuer, under, if you weren't careful. So Flora held on tightly to William Spiver, and he held on tightly back. It was just like her dream. She was holding William Spiver's hand, and he was holding hers. Well, if you two are going to walk around holding hands, said Tootie, I suppose I'll have to be the one who carries this monstrosity of a lamp. She picked up Marianne. Above them, the stars were brilliant, shining brighter than Flora had ever seen them shine. I wish my father were here, said William Spiver. He wiped at the tears on his face with his free hand. An image of Flora's father, hands in his pockets, head on his head, smiling and saying, "Holy Bagumba," in his voice, in the voice of Dolores, rose up in Flora's mind. Her father, she loved him. She wanted to see his face. "I know where we should go," said Flora. End of chapter 61. Beginning of chapter 62. It's another comic book scene, so I'll explain what's going on here. The superhero flew over the sleeping world. Talk about Ulysses. The world was beautiful, and he was alive. Man, there sure are a lot of houses. They do look alike. Also, the superhero was lost. Flora? He's looking and looking to see if it was Flora. And here I am, sitting on the top of a giant donut. I wish Flora were here with me. Flora? He's looking. He's looking and looking and looking. And that is the end of chapter 62. Let me show you this really quick. Hopefully you can see the images right here. Give you a few minutes, give you a couple moments to take a look at this. Giving you guys enough time to look at them. All right. Beginning of chapter 63. "A squirrel flies in," said Dr. Measham. "This I did not expect at all. It is what I love about life, that things happen which I do not expect. When I was a girl in Blundermeeshan, we left the window open for this very reason, even in the winter. We did it because we believed something wonderful might make its way to us through the open window. Did wonderful things find us? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But tonight it has happened. Something wonderful." Dr. Measham clapped her hands. "A window has been left open. A squirrel flies in the window. The heart of an old woman rejoices." Ulysses' heart rejoiced too. He wasn't lost anymore. Dr. Measham would help him find Flora. Also, Dr. Measham might make him a jelly sandwich. Imagine, Dr. Measham, said Dr. Measham. "Imagine if I had been sleeping, what I would have missed. But then, always and forever, I have been an insomniac. You know what this is, insomnia?" Ulysses shook his head. "It means I do not sleep. When I was a girl in Blundermeeson, I did not sleep. Who knows why? It could be some existential terror related to the trolls. Or it could be simply because I did not sleep. Sometimes there are no reasons. Often, most of the time, there are no reasons. The world cannot be explained. But I talk too much. I digress. I need to say to you, why are you here? And where is your Florabelle?" Ulysses looked at Dr. Measham. He made his eyes very big. If only there was some way to tell her everything that had happened. Flora's mother saying that life would be easier without her, the universe expanding, William Spiver's banishment, Flora's homesickness, the writing of his poem, the typing of the untrue words, the stone squirrel, the sack, the woods, the shovel. The squirrel was overwhelmed by everything there was to say and his inability to say it. He looked down at his front paws. He looked back at Dr. Measham. "Ah," she said, "there is too much to say. What? You do not know where to begin?" "You do not know where to begin." Ulysses nodded. "Perhaps it would be good to begin with a little snack." Ulysses nodded again. "When the other Dr. Measham was alive and I could not sleep, do you know what he would do for me? This man would put on his slippers and he would go out into the kitchen and he would fix for me sardines and on crackers. You know, sardines?" Ulysses shook his head. "Little fishes in a can. He would put these little fishes onto crackers for me, and then I would hear him coming back down the hallway carrying the sardines and humming, returning to me." Dr. Measham sighed. "Such tenderness, Just double checking real quick. Okay. Such tenderness. To have someone get out of bed and bring you little fishes and sit with you as you eat in the dark of night. To hum to you. This is love. Dr. Measham wiped it to her eyes. At her eyes. She smiled at Ulysses. So, she said, I will make for you what my beloved made for me. Sardines on crackers. Does this seem like a good thing? Ulysses nodded. It seemed like a very good thing. We will eat. Because this is important to eat. And then, even though it is the middle of the night, we will go and knock on the door of Mr. George Buckman, and he will open the door for us because he is capacious of heart. And then George Buckman and I will figure out together why you are here and where our Flora Bell is. Ulysses nodded. Dr. Measham went into the kitchen, and the squirrel sat on the windowsill and looked out into the dark world. Flora was out there somewhere. He would find her. She would find him. They would find each other. And then he would write her another poem. This one would be about little fishes and humming in the dark of the night. End of chapter 63. Beginning of chapter 64. Flora was on the side of the highway. There were, she had discovered, all kinds of ridiculous things strewn along the side of a road. Shoes, for one thing, and balled-up knee-high stockings, and polyester slacks, baby blue ones, with a permanent crease. Did people undress as they drove down the road? There were metal objects, hubcaps, a pair of rusty scissors, a spark plug. And there were truly inexplicable things, for instance, a plastic banana, glowing a bright and unreal yellow in the dark. Oh, hang on.